Hello, and welcome to Enlightened Empaths, your community for the spiritually awakened, where we discuss, explore, and connect with fellow empaths, healers, intuitives, and seekers. Hello, empaths, and welcome to our show. Something Denise and I talk about all the time on this podcast is how to really focus on taking care of yourself. And we often try to give suggestions for that, and we always remind people it has to be unique to you. But I really think, and Denise, I think you agree as well, that one of the best ways to take care of yourself is to really focus on being your own best friend.
I agree. And what a perfect way to start the new year is with our last show, we talked about it being a 1 year and year of the fire horse and new beginnings and all of those other things. And now to start the year with how can I become best friends with myself feels absolutely perfect.
Yeah, it really does to me too. And some of the notes I put together for this show are from a chapter in my book, Heavenly Alliance, because really one of the key components we need when we're trying to manifest and co-create a happy, healthy life for ourselves is being our own champion. And I think it's hard often to do that, right? Especially when a challenging situation occurs or when we're just going through one of those difficult seasons, we tend to be really hard on ourselves. We might focus on blaming ourselves, criticizing ourselves, or just ignoring the challenging situation and soldiering on and keep on keeping on with work and taking care of everyone else. But when we're able to be our own best friend, we not only learn how to deal with challenging times, but we also drop the expectation that, someone's going to come in and rescue us. And instead, we cultivate this deep inner strength of resiliency and self-love. But it's not easy to learn how to love ourselves, is it?
It's not. And I think for a lot of listeners and for you and I, because there have been challenges, there have been circumstances that have encouraged us to become really resilient, that we have had to depend on ourselves when we may not have felt that we could depend on someone else. So now I think it's honing that to a place where it's not a matter of survival or getting through. It's a matter of how do I learn to enjoy my company and have more fun?
Yes, exactly. And I think self-reflection into the past is often important too. I don't mean stay in the past or get stuck in the past, but just reflecting on how you have handled challenges in the past and looking at, is there a pattern there? And how has that helped or hindered me? I think that can be really, really important. But when we're trying to focus on learning to love ourselves, I think that's when often our fears, the shadow side of ourselves, tend to crop up. And our fears are stubborn. They're adamant. They want to stay there. Kind of like those heart walls that we were talking about back in December with our lovely guest Bradley Nelson and his wife, about how we all build these walls around our heart. But we need to really express those fears and face them head on and say, you know what, you might have protected me in the past. I don't need you anymore.
But I think a lot of people that I've talked to in readings, that I've talked to personally, and that have been doing their own work for the last several years, they've been trying so hard to focus on rewriting the script or changing the dialogue with what they were told. Other people's opinions of us or what we were told when we were small children doesn't have to apply to who we are now on the planet.
No, it doesn't. But you're not going to erase those old tapes until you have felt them and explored them from the perspective of your adult side.
Yes.
Don't you think that's important?
Oh, yes. And I think Dr. Bennett would agree with you.
Yes. 100%. So we create this shadow side based on our fears, and it usually gets rooted into our personality when we're more focused on the persona that we present to the world rather than the whole person that we truly are. And so we do all sorts of crazy things to avoid facing our shadow. We create a mask that's usually formed from the expectations of the society around us, or cultural beliefs, or our own natural inclinations to please others and achieve a successful life. And sometimes we're so good at creating this mask that it actually feels more real to us than our own authentic self. Because we're constantly feeding and adding more makeup to that mask. We're feeding it with a diet of consumerism, personal fears, and all these illusions of how we feel our life should look. But this mask, it's not who we are, it's who we feel we should be. Once we take off that mask, as scary as it might feel in the beginning, we can start to unpack fears, hurts, regrets, and anger and give them the time and attention they deserve. I mean, what do you think your life would look like if you actually traced each one of your shadows and fears back to their birth story?
Oh, and also for the people who have had to mask to protect themselves from judgment, from they may have a different lifestyle choice, they may be different than their family of origin. Those are the ones that might take a little more time and patience to face and to come to terms with.
Yeah, exactly. But the rewards that come when we do face those fears and really go back and back and back and back to the root of where they began, the rewards are limitless, because that is how we get to know ourselves. That is how, as Shakespeare said, to thine own self be true. We can start to really be our own best friend, because something really powerful happens when we face our fears and recognize them as illusions.
No, I think this goes back to what we were saying about start small. You don't have to hit the whole laundry list at once. You can just pick one small shadow and start there, almost like a snowball in old debt. You start with the little one, you get rid of it, and then you go to the next one. And I think this is very similar, is that, I mean, personally, I would say start with the one that's the most limiting, but maybe take a couple baby steps.
Yeah, that's really a good point, because it can feel overwhelming, but just start with one at a time. And if you're not even sure where to start, look at your triggers. Look at the things that trigger you, that make you angry or sad, or the words people say, or the thoughts you think that make you feel like you're hiding from the world or raging at it. And you have to look at these triggers without judgment. You can't be like, oh, I shouldn't have said that, or why did I get so angry, or why is it that January always makes me sad? You can't get all mad at yourself. You have to be kind and patient and compassionate as you go through and really start to examine your shadows. And you want to look at each one and ask it, how are you protecting me? And the answer your shadow reveals will most likely not be true at all, because shadows are all about illusions. But the answer you get will reveal a lot. And then
Right.
you want to And then you want to ask, is this true? I mean, that's pretty amazing to I've done this, and like you'll have an old fear or a repeating pattern that keeps showing up in your life, and you trace it back to a shadow fear, and you ask, is this true? It's so obvious that it's not true, but we're so conditioned from habit of just believing that it's true. Something as simple as doing a guided meditation visualization, where you just visualize yourself talking to a younger version of yourself and asking, you know, why did we create this fear? Where did it start? And how are you protecting me? How did you protect me then? And how are you protecting me now? And then, is this even true? Was it true then? Is it true now?
And finding a way where it feels safe to step out of that shadow.
Yeah, exactly. And sometimes, usually, we have to do that all by ourselves, you
But
know?
you made a really good point a moment ago in that then it allows you to fully step into who you came here to be. And I think that so many people are hesitant, but now there's this new feeling of, I don't want to waste any more time. I want to get on with my life. And we see that how many people we speak with, I want to, write a book, sing a song, move to the country, do this, do that. There are these beautiful goals that are pulling people's hearts. So when you do this shadow work and you really face it, you say, I don't have to be who people told me I am. I can really you can switch it out anytime you want.
Yeah, exactly. And you also want to ask yourself, what scared you as a child? What scared you? And I don't mean like the dark or falling asleep or starting a new day of school at a new year at a new school. I mean, generally, what scared you as a child? Were you afraid when the teacher called on you? Were you afraid in PE class when people picked teams? Were you afraid of your parents? Were you afraid of your voice? What scared you as a child? Where did you feel powerless? What did you not allow yourself to feel? Some of us were raised in homes where we were overtly or covertly told to push it down, smile. And then you want to ask yourself, where do I feel powerless now?
And this could also be a reflection of a controlling relationship or a toxic work environment. I think that generally we tend to go back to that family of origin stuff because that's where most of these seeds are planted. But it could also be, did you end up in a relationship that was emotionally controlling and abusive that looked great on the outside? I think those are things to consider as well when you're doing this work.
Oh, no, I completely agree. But I think you have to look at that relationship and then still, I think it's important to go back.
Yeah.
I took a psych like 101 class in college, so what do I know? But I remember I remember the professor telling us the person you are attracted to before you have fully healed yourself is a direct reflection of your relationship with the parent you have the most challenges with, regardless of gender.
That's I almost said something very colorful, so I'm glad that I tempered that a little bit. I agree. I think that we do repeat patterns with people in our lives and family of origin to try to heal that. And sometimes we can heal with someone else in a way that we can't with the people that planted those seeds.
Right. But I feel that when we can heal those things with the people in our present life, it echoes back to the past in some way.
And you know what I love is everything you're saying are ways to face it, accept it, make peace with it. It's not getting stuck. It's not being in a victim mentality of, oh, this happened to me, so this is why. It's more shining a light on it and saying, let's fix this or let's heal this so that we don't have to carry that bag anymore.
Yes, exactly. Another thing I believe firmly we have to shed when we are trying to really befriend ourselves are our labels. The expectations and hopes that have been placed on us by ourselves or our family, and of course, society as a whole. Just like the illusion of our fears, our labels are not a true reflection of who we are. And when we rely on these false labels to define us, we are rejecting a sacred opportunity to connect within and embrace ourselves with unconditional love. And again, I feel that we should start in our childhood. So you want to look at where were you criticized in your childhood? Or who did most of the praising of you growing up? For example, if you were the athlete in your family and received praise for your prowess on the field, you might have a competitive label that drives you to overachieve. So it's not a bad thing. Like if you were just really, really good at baseball and your dad was like, hell yeah, you're going to the pros, and your whole childhood was about being this athlete, you're going to carry that label into adulthood. And it's going to have positive implications and maybe not so positive implications, but you have to look at it and ask yourself, do I even like baseball? Right?
Mm-hmm.
Do I even want to be an athlete anymore? Do I even want, I've achieved so much, can I just let it go? Or maybe you were the loyal do-gooder in your family. You were always praised for being the good one. You might feel as though you always have to focus on other people's needs first.
Well, and it really does come down to is what is my quality of life and how is it being impacted by those old tapes, by those old viewpoints of who I used to be? Because I think it always stays as a small part of us. I don't, it falls into, it allows us to see that reflection in someone else and help them stand up. So I think that's why if you've had a lot of difficulty, it makes you an amazing intuitive or counselor or therapist because you understand the emotion behind it. But now you're saying, can you turn those skills on yourself and say, okay, I'm going to be gentle with myself and and realize that I don't have to define my existence by those same labels anymore.
No, exactly. But rather than, I really want this to focus on being positive to yourself, because I
Yes.
think often we can look at those labels and go, oh my gosh, why am I still carrying that? Or that's not even who I am anymore. That's okay. You want to look at how those labels served you, because sometimes they do help us, you know? I mean, if you were the loyal do-gooder in your family and you grew up to become a nurse, a PA, a doctor, what have you, well, that's a good thing. We need good people in that medical industry. And so it might have been a great thing that you were raised to be a caretaker because you're doing such amazing work in your chosen career. So be gentle with yourself as you recognize these labels and remember that everything has a positive and a negative. We live in a yin yang world, and we have to bring both into union in order to fully heal it.
Very well said.
And I think it's really important throughout this whole process to just really monitor your interior dialogue and think about how mean you are to yourself. Because I think most of us can be really critical and we will say things to ourselves about ourselves that we would never say to our worst enemy, right? Like if you get into a car accident, you're going to chastise yourself for not paying attention, probably if it wasn't even your fault. If you fall into debt, oh my gosh, you're going to shower yourself with so much shame. How could you have spent so much money? Why don't you earn more money? Why didn't you save more money? You should be smarter. If a relationship ends, we blame ourselves for not doing enough. But what you want to do is just monitor those thoughts and kind of just be a thoughtful observer of your own interior world. And if a negative thought keeps you awake at night, make yourself replace it with three kind thoughts. Even if it feels hokey and weird, do it because it really is going to help you. Tell yourself that you are doing your best and practice giving yourself compliments. I'm really proud of the way I handled that angry customer with grace. Or I'm happy I woke up early and took a walk before work. It's really important to talk kindly to yourself. You know what? When I went on this journey of really trying to be my own best friend, years ago, one of the first things I did was try to accept compliments with grace.
Yeah, it's a hard one for a lot of folks.
I mean, when someone says, like, oh, I love your outfit, am I the only one that's like, oh, I got this on sale, or oh, it's from Target, like downplaying it? Do you do that ever?
Oh, no, never, never, never. Maybe like all the time.
Well, I really try, and I still do, to just focus and force myself to just say thank you, period. Mic drop. It felt so awkward. And sometimes it still does, but I'm getting much, much better at it. But just saying thank you so much. I really appreciate that.
And I think when we are being that harsh with ourselves is look back and find a time when it, and I think I'm going to use the example of I was speaking with someone recently and they were talking about how they haven't accomplished anything this year. And I had talked with them a couple times over the year. And I said, but what about, and I brought up some very significant obstacles this person overcame. They had brought their business to a new level. They had really made some huge gains, but they had completely blocked that out. And it was just this focus on, but I haven't hit the revenue goals for this month. And I said, but look what you did accomplish. And I think sometimes it goes back to what you're saying of being gentle with yourself, but also give yourself credit where credit's due.
Yes, exactly. Give yourself credit where credit is due. And again, go back to the roots of that. Like, why would receiving a compliment make you feel that way? The answer could be different for everyone. Maybe the compliment doesn't fit the label you were given as a child. Or maybe I remember if I ever had an issue with a friend growing up as a little kid, my mom would always say, oh, she's just jealous of you.
Mm-hmm.
Did you ever hear that? And I was like, no,
Yes.
no, she's not. No, she's not.
Yeah, I heard that one too.
Well, I
Yes.
started to realize that I was doing things and like rejecting compliments or accolades because I didn't want anyone to be jealous of me.
Oh,
Yeah. And that was really, and just recognizing that and being like, oh, that's why I do that really helped me start to release it.
if you've ever been shy or introverted, that can also be a trigger, is if someone is putting all the focus and attention on you. That can be ridiculously uncomfortable.
Right. Exactly. But again, I think we need to unpack that. Were you born into the world shy? Did circumstances make you shy? Does being shy simply mean that you feel safer when you're not seen? Who are you not to be seen?
Hmm?
I think those are really good things to ask as well. Now, I think that we are all here for one main sole purpose, and that's to always choose love over fear. Do you agree?
I do. I do. I think love is the answer. I mean, I truly, and now that we're really good, and this comes up a lot when I'm doing readings with people, they'll show me someone throwing rings and lifelines and taking care of and nurturing and having absolutely no concept on how to receive because they've never experienced it. And I think that's what you're saying is learning to receive the love that we might be able to give out very easily.
Yes, exactly. And if we're here to choose love over fear, then we need to choose that love for ourselves as well.
And it's not ego and it's not selfish and it's not um, because I know those are also messages that many of us got.
Oh, yeah, for sure. Yeah, who do you think you are? That type of thing. Yeah. But if we aren't our own best friend, if we don't value ourselves, if we don't treasure who we are, if we don't accept all of our quirks and foibles, will it mean anything if someone else does?
No,
I don't think so. This is why I think it's the most important thing you can do in your entire world is learning to love yourself and be your own best friend.
it's a beautiful foundation and jumping off point. And
Yeah.
it also models the that it's okay for other people that might not feel that comfortable with it yet.
Exactly. Well, like you said, start small and set little goals of just monitoring your thoughts, replacing them with positive, kind ones, learning to accept compliments with ease and grace. You can start very gently before you dive into your childhood. But I do think as we start a brand new year, it's a really good idea to set a goal of self-love. You're not going to take care of yourself unless you love yourself.
And that may mean setting new boundaries around people who are having a difficult time with you seeing yourself in a new way. So
Oh,
if you've
good
always
point.
played a certain role in a family or relationship, a friendship, and then you're not feeling that way about yourself anymore, are you ready to change the dynamics of whatever that situation is as well? Because
Yeah.
I've said this many, many times is, when things have happened with people, and then when you get on the other side of it and look back, and you're like, wow, I can't be upset with them. I'm the one that changed. And if you're the one that you're trying to change yourself for the better and someone else can't accept that, that's okay too.
Yeah, and it might be time for them to move on to a different chapter that's not in your book.
Right.
Or they might come along for the ride and shift and morph with you. That's up to them. What you need to focus on when you're learning to be your own best friend is yourself and your needs. That's what Dr. Bud Harris calls sacred selfishness. And I think it's something we need to destigmatize. And I think it's something we all need to really consciously focus on employing in our everyday life. But it starts in our interior world, in our interior mind.
And we're at the beginning of a new year, and so many people, oh, I'm going to lose weight, or I'm going to write my book, or I'm going to, do whatever it may be. And we look ahead with a new planner and a new big bright eyes and all this stuff. And I think what you're saying and everything that's coming through with what you're sharing is make sure that you put yourself on that list as well.
Yes, exactly. And if I could just add, Denise, there are some crystals that can help us with that.
Okay.
Can I share some?
I would love to hear them. Yes.
All right, my favorite crystal for working on self-love is pink opal. Have you ever had a piece of tumbled pink opal?
I did years ago. Yes. And I gave it to someone.
Of course you did. You're so nice. I still have mine because I love it. It has this pink, milky, creamy texture to it. It feels nurturing. And so it's just one of the best stones for learning to really care for and nurture yourself.
Oh, now I think it has a different frequency feel than rose quartz, which rose quartz to me is the ultimate love, self love, open your heart. I love rose quartz. But pink opal has a more subtle feel to it to me.
Yes, yes.
Okay.
Those women who are like always, I'm a hugger and they're always like doing everything for everyone and they're always positive and upbeat and they're just a joy and a delight to be around because you know it's authentic and they mean it.
Yeah.
That's rose quartz.
Yes.
And then you know the woman or man who's always like, well, let me take your temperature. You need to get into bed. You have a cold or let me just sit with you and hold space with you while you talk. And they don't ever judge. They don't ever offer advice. They're just quiet, peaceful, wise listeners, healers, and holders of space. That's pink opal. So it's a different energy.
But both are wonderful.
Both are absolutely wonderful. I also love rhodochrosite for this as well. Rhodochrosite has that beautiful fanning out of the different waves of pink colors in its stone. And so it really helps your heart chakra to fan out and spread so that you can feel and embrace and receive more love. And if you're working on all the inner childhood stuff we were talking about, yellow chalcedony is really good for that. So is smithsonite. There's different, you can do blue smithsonite, you can do pink smithsonite, you can do a beautiful green smithsonite. I have found them all to be very, very good at helping you with inner child healing. And then there's pink kunzite and pink dambarite that are all fantastic for focusing on more self-love. Strawberry quartz is very inexpensive and easy to find, and that's another great one. That one helps you to find self-love from a place of strength. If you feel a little hesitant or shy or awkward about loving yourself, strawberry quartz might be a good one for you to go to. So that's my little crystal chick insert I had to add.
Well, thank you. I thank you because I think that that's a great way to reinforce this self-love is just have that little tumbled stone in your pocket or put something on your altar or have something that reminds you of, okay, I'm meant to take care of myself too.
Exactly. Well, what's the old ad campaign? I'm worth it
Oh, that's right.
from like, I don't know, the 80s. Do you remember when that was like kind of a scandalous ad campaign? The girl would like flip her hair and she'd be like, "It's Revlon because I'm worth it."
Yes.
And people like made fun of it and were like, "Who do you think you are?" And there were jokes like, "Well, she thinks she's a model." But I always found that interesting that a woman appearing on screen and saying, "I'm worth it," created a little bit of a dust up in the advertising world.
And, everything that we've been talking about today and in this episode about self-love, self-care, putting yourself at the front of the line, all of those things, it really is time because we're being bombarded constantly with the comparison of being too tall, too thin, too this, too that. And I think when you step away from that and you just spend that time with yourself and find something you like about you. I mean, you have to admit, there are very few people that you can't find something likable about them, or humorous, or interesting, or uh, I think that it's the quirkier the better. And you're the only one. If you can amuse the shit out of yourself and have fun, then you're okay.
Yeah, exactly. I think we're both really good at that.
Oh yeah, some would say gifted.
Yeah. Well, and I think for most everyone listening to this episode, I'm going to assume everyone is an empath. I have found empaths to be very comfortable being alone. I think that's step one in learning to love yourself.
It is.
I'm always a little hesitant to befriend someone who can't be alone. I kind of steer clear of those people. Not that there's anything, no judgment. I just know that they're not necessarily on the same spiritual track as I am. Do you know what I mean?
Well, and the flip side of that is the people who ache to be alone, but because of life circumstances, they never get any time to themselves. Maybe that's one of these ways that you can be your best friend is to give yourself 5 minutes where nobody can get to you. And I've had times in my life where 5 minutes was a lifeline and a godsend.
Oh, yeah. Oh, how many of us have left the shower running a little too long because we needed an extra minute or two all to ourselves without, kids and pets banging on the door. Yeah, there's definitely times like that. No, I don't mean people who are too busy and can't be alone. I mean people who, like, physically don't like their own company.
Yeah.
And
And I
they're,
think, I think that that partially is generational as well, because I remember when my father died unexpectedly, my mother had never, ever been alone. She had gone from her parents' house to marrying my father. She had kids, she had all that. And then all of a sudden, she was alone. And I think that happens to more people than we realize. And it's scary.
yeah. Yeah, that's true. It can be a generational thing, it can be a habit thing. I think it's a wonderful thing to cultivate though, is that inner peace and serenity with your own company and making yourself laugh like you were saying before. I think that's a really, really key important step.
Okay, and also being incredibly conscious of what a fine line it is to be enjoying your company so much by yourself that you tend to exclude other people into your world.
We're not talking about you.
No, no, no. We don't know anyone personally that does that, but I think that when you get so comfortable with being alone or enjoying that quiet or being self-reflective or whatever it might be, just err on the side of caution sometimes.
No, I think that's right. Everything in moderation. But I've also noticed I rarely get intuitive insights or hits if I'm with a bunch of people. They come when I'm alone.
Right.
Do you find that? I mean, sure, you'll be out with people and you might get a little intuitive hit about the person you're talking to, but I'm talking about the profound aha ones that really help propel your own spiritual journey further. Those don't come when I'm out and about. They come when I'm reflecting, when I'm reading, when I'm journaling, when I'm meditating, when I'm praying.
When you're taking that time to yourself.
Yeah, yeah. And I think it's really crucial that we give ourselves more of that time. And in that space, learn to just be gentle and kind with ourselves.
Right. And if it means that you'll feel better about yourself if you change some habits or some behaviors or release some things in your life that have been toxic or restrictive, then starting out the year with that in mind is a great way to to set the to plant those seeds.
Yes, exactly. There's a quote I want to share from Audre Lorde. She said, "Caring for myself is not self-indulgence. It is self-preservation." And that's really true, isn't it?
It is. It is. And it does give us more to share with other people
Yeah.
if we feel that our own coffers are filled.
Yes, exactly. So ask yourself, how will I fill my coffers today or this week? And do something every day that makes you feel happy. And little tiny things. I'm not talking about big, huge gestures, a shopping trip, or, going out to a fancy dinner. I'm talking about little things. If you can schedule in little things every day that are going to make you feel happy and fulfilled, that is sending a message to your subconscious that you are worthy of that.
It ties back to that little kid way of looking at life. I was walking the other day and I had a lot on my mind and then I stopped and I looked up and when the sky is just such a blue. It's a shade of blue you only see in the sky. And it catches your breath because it's so beautiful. And I thought, stop, be in the moment, and enjoy how beautiful, beautiful that blue sky is right now. And the rest of it just kind of went away for a few minutes. And I think that's important too when we're focusing on trying to take care of ourselves or be our best friend or learn to like things about ourselves that other people haven't found likable, then maybe it's just looking at it like a little kid and finding the awe and the joy in it, like you said.
Yes, exactly. And then applying that to yourself. So,
Right.
just some few tips before we wrap up. Keep in mind that it's important to practice mindful self compassion. When you notice yourself struggling, instead of criticizing, imagine yourself offering the same kindness you would a dear friend. Place a hand over your heart and silently say, "This is a moment of suffering. Suffering is a part of life. May I be kind to myself in this moment." And as you said before, Denise, recognize and set healthy boundaries. Learning to say no to what drains you and yes to what nourishes you is a profound act of self love. It protects your energy and honors your needs. And really schedule in those self care rituals. And we're not talking just bubble baths here. Consistently doing things that replenish your mind, your body, and your spirit. Daily meditation, a walk in nature, pursuing a hobby, getting enough sleep, eating nourishing foods. Don't forget to forgive yourself. We all make mistakes, but holding on to guilt and regret is like carrying a heavy backpack. Forgive yourself for past missteps, learn the lesson, and move forward. And finally, celebrate your wins, big and small. Acknowledge your progress, your efforts, and your successes. Don't wait for external praise. Be your own biggest fan.
Love, love, love all of that. Thank you.
Yes, because as Maya Angelou says, you alone are enough. You have nothing to prove to anybody. I mean, what would your life look like if you actually believed that you have nothing to prove to anybody?
And that it's your turn. You get to do what you want with it.
Exactly. Yes. The journey of self love is a continuous one. It is filled with moments of grace and challenges and growth. So we have to be patient and kind and befriend every part of who we are. And like I said before, I can't think of a better goal for 2026.
It really helps things get off to a better start, doesn't it?
Yeah, it really, really does. Thank you, everyone, for listening. We hope this has given you some food for thought and some good ideas about really going into the new year with an attitude of love and kindness to everyone else, of course, but also and foremost to yourself. Have a great week. Remember, as always, to show up, do great work, and share your light.
Take care.